This is the Howard's Way podcast from Antique Dust.
Hello and welcome to a very, very special Antique Dust. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Rob.
And together we are Antique
Dust.
Woo!
Woo!
And this is the start of something very, very epic. Yes, we are doing the whole of Howard's Way. I know, amazing.
The whole of Howard's
I know.
Way.
So we are doing a weekly podcast, running down the episode of the delicious yachty drama that is Howard's Way, and we have just watched episode 1 of series 1.
Yes,
and
the
it was
very
gorgeous!
beginning, the very start.
So Howard's Way is one of my little passions. As a child growing up, I had the hots for Leo, who was very, very gorgeous, especially in series 3.
But he grew into himself then.
He grown into it. He was wearing like hot denim shorts and
Hot denim shorts.
I know,
Daisy Duke.
Yes, it was like a bit like Daisy Duke.
Wearing Daisy Dukes.
However, on the rewatch. Sorry, Tom Howard. Oh, he's so dishy.
Well, you're older now,
I
Jonathan.
know. Strangely enough, we've just watched Howard's Way. So anyone who's been living under a rock, Howard's Way is set in the fictional town of Tarrant, and it's set in the yachting community. Now, it starts off very yachty and boaty, and then it goes into yachty, boaty, and fashion.
Fashiony.
Fashion with a capital F. And then it goes into power businessy. I know, it's great.
Wow.
And
anyway, that's way into the future.
Way into the future. So this episode is a good setup. It all starts off, the opening sequence of Howard's Way is gorgeous. There's lots of people in yachts sailing around and looking gorgeous. And
yes, there's lots of boats.
Yeah, lots of boats. It starts off with a race. They're having the
Commodore's
Cup in Tarrant, and the Flying Fish is competing in this. Now, the Flying Fish is being skippered by two unknowns: Tom Howard, Leo Howard, and Lynn Howard. Lynn's Lynn and Leo are the children of Tom Howard, and they're very much into yachts, but Lynn is very, very into yachts. So we've got them sailing around, competing against another boat. We have Jan Howard, who is on this big pleasure cruiser with her very man-eating friend called Polly, who's gorgeous. She's delicious. She's in every single... Oh, she's gorgeous. Lovely.
So we established Polly's character really early on.
Yeah, she's currently sort of fondling the inner seam of someone's sort of upper trouser environment, while eyeing up another chap while guzzling on a gin and tonic from a crystal glass. Very lovely.
Well, it's the only way to drink gin and tonic, isn't it? From a crystal glass.
Exactly. Jan is looking on amused because, in fairness, having Polly as a friend is just gorgeous. The amount of hygiene she gets up to is amazing. There's a bit of yachty action with regards to hosting a mainsail and all
tying up the capstan,
and then doing it one step, 2 step, 3 step.
Such like.
And they do an about turn around a buoy it's one of these floaty buoys, not like a buoy that's drowning or anything.
I mean, a buoy. As our American cousins would call it.
Yes, it's a buoy, sweetie, and they win the cup by a length. Woo!
Hurrah! Length of what?
A length of boat.
A length of boat. Okay.
Length of boat.
Just for the record, I know absolutely nothing whatsoever about anything even remotely maritime. I was once told off for talking about parking a boat. Apparently that's not what you do. So forgive me. I'm on a Howard's Way learning curve here.
Rob has had to sit through Howard's Way once before because we did a revisit of it and we did a tweetalong.
Yeah, you say sit through. I think it was more of a scroll through Facebook through kind of thing, wasn't it?
Shush. No,
anyway, I'm now paying attention to it.
He's now paying attention.
Since I'm now expected to have opinions.
The scripting of it, this episode was absolutely phenomenal. It's the setup of all the characters. So you've got the Howard family, which is 2 adult children, Leo's about to go to university. Lynn's just finished university. Jan's a housewife that works a couple of mornings a week.
So just to put some detail behind that, Tom Howard is played by Maurice Colville.
Who's lovely. Looks fabulous in a sweater.
Jan Howard, played by Jan Harvey.
Who looks amazing. She became a fashion icon from this show. She's got great shoulder pads, and she has at least 4 or 5 outfit changes
Per scene.
per scene.
And we have Leo Howard, played by Edward Highmore,
who is the father of
Freddie
Highmore, who is very big star over in America. I was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Was it Charlie? Yeah, it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The reboot one, the one with Johnny Depp. He played Charlie.
Johnny Depp?
No.
And Lynn Howard, played by Tracy Childs.
Yes, she's still very big in the theatrical things, apparently. So, very, very lovely. They all go and celebrate at the Yachts Club, and there's sort of more drinks that are flowing. Then they go back home and have this lashings of champagne and lovely spread with a big trifle. Is it
Big trifle. I didn't notice.
It's a massive big trifle.
I
on that
noticed the
test.
trifle.
It was. I mean, that must have been very elegant, and it had some very.
It wasn't even a bird's one.
It had the precursor. You know, remember the hexagonal crockery with the vines going through it? It had the precursor crockery to that.
Ooh.
I know, on the table.
You know your crockery.
It was very, it was very glam. It's because you used to be able to get. That's when crockery, you got all matching crockery, and then you had the
Not from a petrol station.
Not from a petrol station. That's when that's in the days where you had crockery, which went with the scatter cushions, same fabric. You had the curtains, the same fabric, and then they had the wallpaper.
Sounds awful.
Sounds
awful.
It was just a bit bonkers. And then it is announced that Tom has been made redundant. He is out of a job.
Tom chooses his moment carefully and sensibly and announces it over the dinner table.
After they've consumed the main course. And
they had the trifle at that point.
The trifle. The trifle still went untouched.
Okay.
That's
I
probably.
hope they had the trifle.
I know it's probably still at Pebble Mill. Someone's left it in the back of the fridge somewhere.
Well, Pebble Mill was demolished years ago, so
No, so the trifle may have still been in the back of that refrigerator.
Might have
It's
been.
probably a gas-operated one as well.
Right. A gas-operated trifle.
No, gas-operated.
Anyway, Jonathan, stop talking nonsense.
So
Get on with
Jan is horrified that
Well, you would be, wouldn't you?
that he's going to be unemployed. The children are looking on, going, "Oh, okay. How will that affect me?
What's going to happen to us?
Will that affect me? Will that not affect me?" And so, I mean, Leo. It becomes very apparent Leo doesn't want to go to Sussex University,
Exeter
University, and Lynn wants to have a year out. Will that affect me? No.
Yeah. Not quite sure what she's having a year out from.
Well, she's finished university.
All right, okay.
Yeah,
it wasn't really specified.
No, it wasn't really. But so Lynn was having a year out because all she wants to do is sail. They were both quite thrilled that they may not have to go on the family holiday because it doesn't
the Dordogne.
Yes, so they weren't particularly upset about not having to go on a family holiday. But Jan was horrified and she left the room with a big swish. Upset that their standards may be dropping. So that was a big. Well, it's probably a big thing. But then I was thinking about it. I say, I'm 47. You're 51. Tom Howard in this is 44. Mm-hmm. And Jan is thinking, "Oh my God, my life is over."
On the scrap heap.
On the scrap heap.
And the reality was, and someone in his position might, in the mid-80s, actually, you know what?
They
probably would have been on the scrap heap.
However, they do go to great lengths to explain that the mortgage has been paid off, they have money in the bank, and they do actually own a yacht. Daddy has a Jaguar, and Mummy has an MG Metro. So they don't. It doesn't seem like they have a huge amount of debt. They'll just have to reduce down their champagne budget.
Yes, less trifle, less extravagant trifle.
So as a knee-jerk reaction, Jan then phones Ken Masters. So
tell us, who's Ken Masters?
Ken Masters.
Tell us all about Ken Masters. Don't spoil it though.
Ken is the owner of the
Chandlery, isn't it?
Chandlery, the Master's Chandlery.
Master's Chandlery.
Which looks like a very disappointing 1970s or 1960s sort of glass box construction on the side of the water with a few rubber dinghies outside.
It looks like a B&Q inside.
Yeah, a little bit of a B&Q with the lumpy sales assistant dragging around a trolley. But we introduced to Ken. So Jan said, "Oh, I can't hear you very well," and he's got his,
So the first sign that we have of Ken, and again, this is quite well set up for introducing the character, because I think we're in no doubt. We're left in no doubt as to
what type of person Ken is,
as to his character.
So Ken is topless in his bed. With a dolly bird, a blonde dolly bird, who it's in later episodes we find out it's called Dawn. Yeah. I like Dawn. I think Dawn was an interesting character.
Dawn's cool,
and
it's horribly decorated.
It's horribly. It's a
horrible room.
It is decorated like a teenager's bedroom. It was all sort of grey, black, steel, but it must have been very of the moment. Because I remember I was up for my 16th birthday. I wanted the wallpaper, that grey
Master's wallpaper.
It was more of a sort of a zigzag stripe. It was grey, black, and red.
Oh, how 80s!
I know, but I had the matching bed linen as well, which was amazing.
Wow.
But obviously, I think this was done in 85.
85.
So it was 1985. So I was. It was 86 when I was 13. So 13. So it was 89 when I had mine. So obviously, this was like forefront. It was actually really, really fashionable in its time. It was like the rigueur of fashion. So anyway, we're seeing him with his dolly bird, and he moves her out of the way. And
so we turn the sleaze knob up to 11.
But he does it is so delightfully, and he said, "Oh yes, certainly I can see you tomorrow," because Jan's obviously looking for extra
she's angling
hours
for work.
And he says to his dolly bird, whose name is Dawn, say, "Oh, I hope she's not given a notice in." "Oh, why? Is she any competition to me?" And he turns around very, very pointedly, but she takes it as a compliment. "No, you're in a different league." So yes, so I think Dawn took that as a compliment, but I don't think it wasn't meant as a compliment. But I think it sets that character up really, really well. Now we haven't mentioned we've actually met Jack and Avril. Yeah. Jack runs the boatyard, the mermaid yard, and Jack is. We're introduced to Jack. He's there fondling a wooden boat. We know through the passion, as I am the number one fan of Howard's Way, that Jack is very wooden boat centric.
Yeah. Well, we learn that in the
very first episode.
In the episode that he doesn't like sort of plastic tubs,
fantastic tubs, fiberglass, none of this fiberglass nonsense. Yeah. And he'd actually built the boat the Flying Fish, which is the boat that Tom Howard owns, but it was done to Tom Howard's design. So this is like it is all this episode.
It's all coming together.
This episode is so tight and so well constructed. Yeah. So we meet Jack, and then we meet Avril. Avril is Jack's daughter. Jack is waiting for Avril to tell her why she has left a very, very good job to come and work at the Mermaid Yard.
So we don't learn a huge amount of Avril's history. What we learn about Jack is that he basically married the yard. So he married whoever he married, his wife, presumably Avril's mother.
Yeah.
He got the yard through those means. And Avril, what did we learn about Avril? That she was something big in the city, but mysteriously has left all that behind and is now doing the bookkeeping or whatever at
the yard, because she's also a shareholder of the yard. So then we also find out that Jack is in a little bit of financial stuck. He thinks it's just a slow patch, and he's going to go and sort of treat the bank manager to a slap-up meal.
Because the bank has a big loan.
Yeah, there's a big loan outstanding on the Mermaid Yard.
And meanwhile, Avril and Tom have bumped into each
They
other
they bump into
on a long walk along the Hamble.
On the Hamble.
Whatever.
And this is because Tom, after the arguments that ensued after he announced that he was made redundant, he went out to clear his head and went for a walk, and he bumps into Avril, and there's a little bit of a meet cute thing going with there, because they sizzle, their chemistry really does sizzle, that one, with Avril and Tom. And Tom sort of offloads to Avril about sort of losing his job and everything, and saying, well, I've held it back for the last month, and I've met as sort of virtually a stranger. I mean, he knows who she is, but and sort of launches into his bits and pieces. Avril then mentions this to her father, just off the cuff. Oh, right, yeah. So they say Tom's sort of maybe made redundant, and sort of Jack has had the meeting where he's got a little bit tipsy with the bank manager, but the bank manager said, no, we're going to have to call in the loan. So he puts two and two together, decides to offer the business or offer a partnership to Tom Howard. So
in exchange for his golden handshake.
For his golden handshake, because obviously Tom has worked for Southern Aviation
for 20 years.
For 22 years, straight from university. Ooh. So I was trying to work out all this, sort of like with regards to sort of the ages. Because he must have been there since 22. Mm-hmm. So Lynn must be 21. So he must have got married. Lynn must have been born. Lynn's the first child, and then Leo is the second child with a 3-year age difference. So
he started his career, he got married, and then started having children.
Having a children family. So
which is fairly traditional of that period.
Yeah, it probably was actually. I mean, it's very much of a thing. I mean, we were watching another report the other day saying people getting married much later, buying the houses much later, and everyone's doing it much later. I mean, I think some people, by the time they pay the student loan off, they'll be retired.
Yeah. So I mean, we're talking about the mid-60s, aren't we? Early to mid-60s when Tom began his career in design and started having a family.
And so it's very noticeable, but it feels so relevant as if today as well, because obviously we've just gone through we're in the midst of a pandemic, and people are losing their jobs, and I think it's that those issues that are being raised in this now are resurging now, because this show is 35 years old.
Oh, shut up.
It is. I mean, it was only last week. It was last week was the 35th anniversary of Howard's Way hitting the airwaves.
Yeah, it was 1st of September.
It was the 1st of September, and we are pre-recording these podcasts.
No, we're not. This is live.
It's not live.
We do this every time someone listens to the podcast. A bell rings and we go, "Oh, crikey, we've got to do this podcast again."
No, we are pre-recording these podcasts, so we've got enough in the bag, because there is a lot of episodes to cover.
78 or 77. On the middle of that, I just looked it up. It is 78 episodes.
78 episodes. I think there was 30. I think there's 13 episodes in each series. So we've scheduled it. So we're going to do the tweet-along 8 o'clock every Sunday. So we're starting on the 27th,
which will be past
September.
By the time you listen to this.
Well, so this is being launched on this podcast goes out on the 27th. So it's going to be every Sunday thereafter, taking you up to Christmas. Then we're having a break at Christmas, and then we're starting back again the first Sunday of the New Year, which will take us up to Easter. We'll have a break for Easter, and then we'll start the third series after Easter, which will take up to summer, the summer hiatus, and then we'll start the whole gorgeous thing again for the final 3 series. And we're hoping that other people, media people, will be listening to this and be completely inspired by Lovely Howard's Way and decide to do a reboot like they did, or an extension like they did with Dallas and Dynasty. We need to have Howard's Way back in our lives, and I think it's going to be epic. So anyway, the episode sort of ends with Tom seriously considering joining the Mermaid Yard, and it's a big cliffhanger. I mean, this is a good thing about Howard's Way. It always leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger, and then the jazzy music kicks in.
Yeah, and then we get to see the the mermaid with her
Big boobs out.
her
Boobage.
Their boobies.
But overall, I thought the soundscape of this was really good, and it was really for
When you
something.
say soundscape, what do you mean?
As in the theme tune,
The
the music.
Simon May's music.
It's absolutely brilliant. It really is. It's just divine. There was a little bit of a music interlude where it went a little bit from "We Are Sailing" on the accordion, and then it went into "Old Lang Syne."
I don't know if it did though. I think Sailing and Old Lang Syne are actually quite close musically, so I think they can be misinterpreted as one another.
So if you want to watch back, it's the episode. It is when they actually arrive up in the Jaguar.
Because they've been singing, "We are
sailing, we are sailing." So it's truly divine.
So what did you think about the production values of the
production
episode?
values? Very good. It was they went to a little bit of avant-garde sort of filming around the dinner table where they were doing.
Well, you say avant-garde, I say wobbly, but hey ho.
I thought that was very good. I thought the sailing shots were very, very good.
Yeah. What struck me watching it now is how much location work was done. Which one of the questions that was in my mind was, is Howard's Way a soap, or was Howard's Way a soap opera,
or was it a drama,
or is it a family drama? And it's easy to think of it as a soap opera, I guess. But then when I was watching and seeing how much location work was done, that's not really. Well, it certainly wasn't a hallmark of soap operas back in the mid 80s.
I think Howard's Way possibly did come a little bit soapy, but I think the initial grassroots of it was a family drama, and
they obviously spent a bit of money on it.
They did. It was an astonishingly large amount of money. I mean, the locations they've used. It was just a shame some of the internal sets, they were very obviously.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I suppose dates the show, as it does date everything that was made before the mid 90s. Is that you have that juxtaposition between the location work, which is shot on film, and then that sort of slightly jarring transition to the interior shots, which are obviously set up in the traditional TV studio 3 camera setup and shot on video. And we're kind of used to it because we watch quite a lot of old TV. And we grew up with that style of television making. So you kind of get used to the transition between film and video, then back to film, then back to video. But I guess for someone younger than us, who's grown up in the modern era of single camera work and extensive use of locations and so on, rather than studio based dramas, it's a little bit jarring.
It is. I suppose it is in a way.
And that horrible back diorama thing that said the Howard's bedroom window.
The hat that say Tom and Jan's bedroom set was. The set itself was fine, but it was just the window that was a bit like that. You could tell that their bedroom, Ken Masters' bedroom, obviously the Mermaid Yard office, those are all very, very much in a studio.
Yeah.
But then there are some very obvious restaurant scene where you've got Jan speaking to Polly.
Yeah.
When there's that is obviously on set.
Yeah. So they're real places.
They're real places.
They were used as for location.
And they
shooting.
look good.
And they look great.
They really do look really good.
I mean, the 16mm film cinematography in the show is actually really, really good. It's slightly spoiled for me by a little bit of shakiness in the studio-based camera work, which hopefully will be ironed out.
It just seemed a bit bonkers that they did it at Pebble Mill in the Midlands.
That was how television was made back in the 80s, and Pebble Mill was one of the major drama production centres. But it makes no more sense to have it made at Television Centre, which I guess would have been the alternative location.
Yeah. So, but overall, I think the storytelling was brilliant, and it was tightly done, and it rollocked along a lot quicker. I mean, we have watched all this previously, and obviously I've watched it many, many times before. However, it's been on a bit of a hiatus. I do apologise, listeners. We have the ice cream van in the background, and I'm not going to dash out and buy myself Mr. Whippy.
Not even a 99.
I know. I bought a single Mr. Whippy, and it was £2 the other week.
Really?
I was just like, really? I mean, for £2.
Really?
Oh, it's for £1 or £1.50. You used to get like the 2 or 3 scoops with. It was like
back in 1985,
virtually a Cadbury's factory wedged into the into it.
Back in '85 in Tarrant, you could have got a 4-scoop Mr. Whippy for probably about 25 pence.
I think you'd probably had lobster and champagne for that, wouldn't you?
I don't know if I'd want that in my ice cream, to be honest. Lobster ice cream.
Champagne ice cream. Oh, that sounds actually quite nice. Maybe I'll whip into the kitchen and go and invent some. Okay. So, okay. So we are overall. What did you think of this episode?
I enjoyed this episode. I think the setup of the characters was well done. It was well handled.
It was incredibly.
We really got a good insight into the nature of the characters really quite quickly.
Yeah, especially with Leo. Leo's a little bit of a new ager. He's had to be the slight comments about him having to struggle through school to get his A levels, but but they've all made. But Jan did actually make a couple. The character Jan made a few disparaging remarks, which I didn't remember before, where she was saying, "Oh well, Leo would go and serve food to the homeless or some such nonsense." And Leo is a little bit new agey, and he has got a Greenpeace T-shirt. I just felt. So towards the end of this episode, Jan was really, really snobby.
She was,
and I just felt, oh gosh. But then Tom also showed a very dislikable character trait, because Tom, although he's made redundant, and Jan has spoken to Polly, and Polly's managed to line up a job interview on a design board of an airport, sort of designing airports or something. Tom doesn't want to do that, and Jan wants the prestige of that, but Tom doesn't want Jan to go out to work full time, and doesn't like the idea of that. So both of that was a bit unlikable. But I suppose that they have to do that for us to have to get those characters to be broken down, to rebuild themselves, because the characters themselves they both see the sort of where their errors have sort of come, and then there's a built-in appreciation for each other. But we don't want to spoil it, sweetie. So we're going to do a little feature on this podcast.
Are we?
Yes, we are. We are doing a little feature.
Crikey.
So on this feature, we are reimagining. So if Howard's Way was going to be made today, with a similar plot line, but obviously it's a little bit more up to date. In today's marketplace, with the current day actors that are out there, who would you cast as Tom Howard?
Ooh. So, Jonathan, who would you cast as Tom Howard?
I would cast Jack Davenport. Now, Jack Davenport was in the 90s TV show This Life. He played Miles. He was also in the Pirates of the Caribbean as the unlikable general, and he was in the comedy series Coupling, and he's been in a few bits and pieces, and he was also in Ultraviolet as well in the 90s after he came off that. But Jack Davenport, there is a link back to Howard's Way, because Jack Davenport is Sir Edward Frears, the character, the actor who played Sir Edward Frears.
Yeah. Obviously, anyone who's just watching along with us will have no idea who you're talking about, but there is a connection.
There is a connection from the later series. A character bit old, which is Sir Edward Frear, and the actor that played Sir Edward Frear is Jack Davenport's dad, and I think that'd be really good. So who would you place as Tom Howard?
I don't know. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, I think he'd be a great.
Oh, he could get into
he'd be
character. He's the Peaky Blinders chap, isn't
Yeah.
he? With lots of tattoos and things.
Yeah.
I suppose he could be like a... Yeah, actually, I could potentially see that. Yeah. Because is he not too young? How old is he now?
I don't know.
Because the character I suppose he could play older, couldn't he?
Yeah, he's probably not as young as you think he is.
No. Oh, that's actually... Actually, that would get the ladies watching, definitely.
Well, you'd get some of the gentlemen watching as well, probably.
It'd be like the Poldark when they've got that guy that's always got his shirt down to his midriff. Into it.
Yeah.
So, listeners, who would you cast with current day actors? They have to be in their 40s potentially. It could be their 50s. Who would you cast as Tom Howard? Please let us know. We are on all social media platforms at Antique Dust. If you have any insightful comments or anything like that, please do let us know. You can tweet us, Facebook us, Instagram us, or you can just drop us an email. We're at hello@antiquedust.co.uk. So, I think that's pretty much the really good summary thing of this episode. I loved it.
We made a strong start.
It's a strong start. So these podcasts will be dropping at the same time each week. And
if you would like to participate in a podcast, well, let us know.
Let us know.
We're open to a collab, aren't we?
We're open to a collab.
We're all up for a collab.
Yeah, for collabs. We love collabs.
We love collabs.
It's amazing. But in the meantime, if you do want to tweet along, you can hashtag Howard's Way on Twitter. And if you've got your box set, dust it down, jam in a DVD.
You missed the first episode, but you can start from episode 2.
You can start from episode 2, or you just...
just catch up.
Just catch up.
Catch up.
Hey, fabulous. What did you think of Polly's outfits?
Are you asking me?
Just generally anyone that's
okay.
listening, both listeners. So Polly's outfit, I just love Polly. I think Polly is an unabashed, gorgeous person, I feel. And
So she's unabashedly gorgeous.
yeah, she's not hiding anything. She is exactly what she is. And but Jan is a bit of a social climber. But anyway, we'll discuss more of that in the next exciting episode. So in the meantime, it's farewell from me, Jonathan.
And it's goodbye from me, Rob.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Howard's Way podcast from Antique Dust.